Hello everyone, today we're going to be looking at the category of Best Live Action Short Film. Now, as I said with documentary short film, the short categories are often the hardest to predict. Um, they're a little more than blind guesswork, if I'm being totally honest, but there are some patterns you can notice and try to use to your advantage as you predict them, but even we don't know everything, and I'm lucky if I get even one of these right. But we'll see what happens, and let's take a look at the nominees. Fifth most likely to win is The Silent Child. Synopsis: Libby, a profoundly deaf 4-year-old, is the youngest child in a family who are all hearing. Unable to communicate but about to start school, Libby is assigned a social worker who teaches her sign language. Libby's skeptical parents are reluctant to be involved, however, and pose a potential block to Libby's education. So, a lot of the nominees, I think 4 out of the 5 nominees, are important social issues. Or they're about important social issues, rather. And this film, of the 4, the social issue feels the least important. Like, oh, deaf awareness. And this is a very real thing that a lot of people have to deal with, both parents and children. I think it's an interesting situation, but it just feels weird. I don't think it's going to win in this category. It has a lot of, I don't know, it kind of reminds me a bit of Wonder. It's about this child with a disability who has to survive. It feels kind of weird. I somehow find myself doubting that it's going to be a contender to win the Oscar. Fourth most likely to win is My Nephew Emmett. Synopsis: In 1955, 2 white men invade the home of Mose Wright, an African-American preacher in Mississippi, to abduct his 14-year-old nephew, Emmett Till, who is visiting from Chicago. Emmett has been accused of whistling at a white woman, and Mose knows that his fate will be sealed if the men succeed in taking him. So, I said earlier that a lot of it is about social issues and importance of social issues, but I think there's also a bit of a danger in selecting a social issue that is too serious. I think with films about injustice towards African Americans, it's a very tight balance because obviously it's still a very, very important issue, but some people might feel, oh, we've seen this many, many times, and I'm sick of watching this. And so for that reason, I kind of find myself doubting that this film is going to be a contender. I think it'll definitely get votes. I think all 5 of these will get votes, but it's hard to know what's going to win. I don't know, I'm just trusting my instincts here, but this one does not feel like a winner. Third most likely to win is Watu Wote, All of Us. Synopsis: Jua, a Christian living in Kenya, boards a chartered bus to visit a relative and is uncomfortable being surrounded by Muslim passengers. The bus is stopped by the violent terrorist group Al-Shabaab, whose members demand that the Muslims identify the Christian passengers. So this is an interesting film. It takes place in Africa, and what's interesting is that it's taking prejudice on religion, which we're kind of used to seeing, and turning it on its head. Because America, Christian is considered to be a lot more acceptable than Muslim. It's kind of like that one short film that came out a while back that was like, if we lived in a world where being homosexual was considered standard and being straight was considered weird and one could be punished for being straight. That was an interesting short because it asked you to look at, well, what if I am suddenly in the role of being oppressed? How do I feel? And I think that because of that reason, this short is going to appeal to a lot of voters, and I wouldn't be too shocked if it won. But I don't know. Maybe it's because it doesn't have the most buzz. But I somehow find myself doubting that it's going to contend very seriously in this category. It will get votes, and I think it will definitely contend. But I don't think it's going to win. Second most likely to win is the 11 O'Clock. Now, of the 5 shorts, this is the only one that isn't about a social issue. The premise here is A psychiatrist earnestly tries to help his delusional patient, but his efforts are complicated by the fact that the patient believes himself to be the doctor. With each trying to out-analyze the other, their session spirals out of control. Now, this is a comedy short, and for that reason, it's going to get votes. It's a short that doesn't deal with a major social issue, and it's lighter than the other nominees. And people will vote for it purely because it was the easiest to watch out of the 5 nominees. With that being said, I think quality also plays a massive role here. So while I think the 11 o'clock very easily could win the Oscar, the film that I'm nervously hedging my bets on is the number 1 most likely to win, my predicted winner, DeKalb Elementary. So the premise here is Stephen, a mentally unstable 20-something, enters an elementary school with a semi-automatic rifle. After he orders the school receptionist Cassandra to have the building evacuated, he holds her hostage and instructs her to call 911. With Cassandra as his go-between, Stephen tries to navigate the troubled waters he has entered. So, in this short film, it's probably dealing with the most topical social issue of the moment, which is gun laws in America and the massive amount of school shootings that occur. And this is serious, but I think because it's topical, people will be compelled to vote for it. Plus, I think this one might be the most critically lauded of the 5. I have not seen any of these, but this film seems to be the one that most people are praising. Even on the official poster, there's like a bunch of here's the quote. It's like, shows how powerful short film can be. A sustained masterclass in slow burn tension leaves the audience both shaken and stirred up to contemplation. I feel this one is tense but also sad, and I feel a lot of Oscar voters will relate to this one. It's very, very close between this one and the 11 o'clock, because that one people might go, oh, it's lighter, I want to go with the lighter one. But logic, I feel like I want to vote. I feel like the predicted winner here is DeKalb Elementary. That's your likeliest winner, because it feels important, topical, tense, sad. It feels like everything a good film should be to contend for Oscars, only packed into the short category. And that's what makes me feel that DeKalb Elementary will win Best Live Action Short. Thank you for watching. Tune in tomorrow where I talk about Best Supporting Actress.